So there's a difference between what an FE calls for. It's not just a great creative. It's not just great business results. It's not this or that. It's this and that. And that is how FEs is different from many of the awards platforms that we have been a part of. So without further ado, I will first ask Gamika to take all of you through a nice array of slides that he has put together to actually give you insights in terms of how you should tackle your entries, what categories you should consider, what categories you should not consider, what do certain categories entail, so that you can actually make an informed choice. So Gamika, over to you, and we'll catch up with questions afterwards.
Sure.
Can I invite all of you to type down your questions? I will pick all the questions. So if you see a certain question, don't repeat it. I will definitely ask that question from Gamik and clarify it for you. And as we go on, whatever questions that come, as much as possible, we will cover today and give you as many answers as possible. So Gamika, over to you.
Thank you, Kavi. It's a privilege and honor to do this workshop. I think, this is the third time I'm taking most of my friends from advertising as well as from the marketing fraternity through this presentation. But of course, this year I have made some changes based on the requirements and the current guidelines, because I think this year is going to be very, very significant because we are judging a bumper year. Let's dive in directly. So although the workshop says deep dive into the intricate, I will take you in a different perspective of how to win an FE. I think that's the objective of everybody who's taking part in this workshop, to hold that glitter in your hand at the FE award. So I think that's the $1,000,000 question that I'm going to answer. So this is like winning a court case for me. Previous years I said it's about a story, but further we go on this, and during the last maybe couple of years of judging, being in part of the panel, being a participant, as well as being in organizing, what I've learned is this is like winning a court case. I trust everybody can see my slides. I mean, it's about building your case, and judges want to hear about your case. And let's talk about how you're going to build your case as a compelling case that judges will award marks. Because this is an activity you have done, you have got results, you had a background to it, and let's make it a compelling story for judges to have a look at it and award marks based on the merits of it. So without making all flowery, let's go into the areas that we are looking at. Before we touch on each of the areas, I would want to focus on the new categories that we are introducing this year. We have had, I mean, I'm not going to elaborate on the existing categories which we had over the years. That will remain same. I'm sure all of you who has a hands-on the entry kit will have the definitions. I mean, I'm not going to take any more time on this one. As Kavi said, I think let's finish off this presentation, go into a Q&A so that we can have a proper discussion answering your queries. So new categories, we have debated about this. Kavi had a lot of discussions around this. We reached FE Global. We picked up certain ones which are appropriate for our on environment and our readiness of the market. So let me touch on it. I'm not going to go through the technical definition which is on the entry kit, but I'm going to touch upon what exactly these categories mean. Delivery services and education and training. I'm sure all of us know during the last 24 months with the pandemic, which we faced unprecedented levels of anxiety and market restrictions. Delivery services is one industry which stood out even now as we speak right now. Training and education is also another industry which took turns, but despite the East attacks, despite the pandemic, training and education is the industry, as far as my knowledge is concerned, who have made inroads and grew business. The need for knowledge has been there in the market in different categories. It can be professional, it can be academical, higher education, etc. So I think there are a lot of institutions, entities which have embarked on marketing their campaigns in these categories. So these are two new main categories we have introduced. And on the special categories, in addition to what we have right now, special categories we have introduced this year are general specialties on brand integration and entertainment partnerships. I mean, there are brands who have embarked on areas which have been, partnering with entertainment, bringing out, This is merely not content marketing, because content marketing is covered in some other area. Creating, for example, if I take a global example, Coke Studio, or even in Sri Lanka some years ago, Dell Studio was something that was introduced on as an entertainment partnership. So how does the brand integration happen and entertainment partnership has worked out in this category is being judged. Commerce and shopper, yes, again, as a very appropriate category. E-commerce, these are completely non-brick and mortar organizations, non-brick and mortar brands which have come into the market or been in the market, who have done exceptionally well in terms of their communication, have been judged here. Single retailer programs, mass merchants, supermarkets, drugstores. I think, again, a time appropriate category, which we saw many industries moving into e-commerce based retailer programs. I mean, the second category, the single retailer program, are the ones which had the brick and mortar, but also expanded into the online platform through different communication, made those efforts a success. I mean, we have many examples. If I touch on the supermarket side of it, all supermarkets went in. The initial phase was a little bit of a disaster for a consumer, but they managed to, I think, bounce back really hard. And those platforms, communications, etc., has stood out. Drugstores, etc., moving in from brick and mortar, integration into the e-commerce sphere are being judged here. Business challenge category, COVID response, critical pivot. I think, if you track back 2019, 20 and 21, during the time period we are talking about, we faced massive issues in Easter attack, COVID, first wave, second wave, third wave. In addition to that, there could have been different other disasters. I mean, we faced floods, the natural disasters as well. So how does an organization use that critical pivot? I think especially we have focused on the COVID response as well. How does communication effectiveness has supported a business to turn around or responding to this critical challenge have been judged here. Marketing disruptors, again, I think there are a couple of questions offline also which we got. This is merely a brand organization changing the rules of the game. I was actually trying to figure out many examples, which are some of the examples I would want to touch on. It is closer to home. I don't know anybody from Ceylon Cold Stores are here, but a campaign which stood, I mean, still we remember, is the another EGB Nathuwa Kamepa. So I think EGB was merely a drink which was repositioned to be a drink with which we need to have it with food. That particular campaign changed consumer behavior drastically. I think they really redrafted the rules of the beverage category. So that's a complete disruptor. Again, another campaign which was about, I think, almost about a decade ago. So these are disrupting campaigns which are from, I think you can look at from a communication disruption. Rules of, I think, the judges will look at how you have challenged the status quo. It can be from a communication point of view, it can be from a product point of view, how you have changed the rules of the game to fit into your success. So it's a very critical category. You need to really look at the scope of that category before you jump into that category. Media categories, apart from what we have, media innovation is another area we are looking at. Media innovation is new. It's not content partnership. It's not influential. It's not media idea, but innovative media usage. It can be program creation, channel integration. How does that innovate? There has to be an innovative factor. It's not merely a content partnership that we are looking at. And then, I mean, this is giving more space for media-led ideas to be recognized in this category as well. Finally, social media. I think, this is a debate which we had, whether is it crossing the borders or digis, but merely not. Effis looks at a very, very different angle of effectiveness on communication. How does social media as a campaign? I mean, again, I must insist here. I must underline and say that we will not look at, how many likes you got, what's the engagement rate you got. It's not about the leads you got, but how does this strategic problem have been tackled through a social media led campaign, complete social media led campaign. So the weightage will go in terms of looking at those campaigns which are 100% focus on social media, because I think the last 24 months showed many brands diverting their budgets into the social media category strategically and tactically. Here we will look at more strategic campaigns which we have actually generated results and being effective. So I think that's a decent explanation of the categories. Let's go on to a discussion when you have questions at the end. So let's go into starting preparation. First of all, review your work and have an internal debate. I suggest very strongly, I advise a couple of people who called me during last week also, do not just sake of putting a campaign. Okay, this is a feel good campaign. We felt really good about it. I'm going to apply this. So don't waste money of your agency. Maybe Slim might be, Slim will be up in arms if I say this, but then I think, it has to be realistic. Your campaigns has to be FE worthy. Please remember, this is not a creative award. This is an effectiveness award. So critically look at your work, which has a stand in terms of FE awards. It's just because it was very, very creative. If you cannot build a case around it after you go through my presentation, don't enter it. So, put all the entries together. I know some of the agencies which I worked very closely with over the last decade or so, they list down all the campaigns which they feel that are good. They have an internal debate. They shoot down their campaigns and see which has a better chance at FE. So then filter it out to very strong set of entries that you want to craft it. Carefully select categories. Sometimes we miss the category. Understand the category definition. Some of those definitions will give an advantage to some of the entries to enter. So try to understand which category you really want to get into. Sometimes the lack of understanding of the category gives you a disadvantage when you just try to draft an entry. For example, a seasonal marketing campaign. Is it seasonal or is it promotional? That's a question that you need to ask. That's an example I can give you. Start downloading the entry kit, basics, gather information as much as possible, read it thoroughly, the entry kit, the definitions, how it's been judged. So it gives you a lot of clarity. There are a lot of FE websites, winning case studies you can go into. I usually show a couple of videos, but due to the technical scope of it, I have not included any videos. But if you go to YouTube or FE global website, you have a lot of winning case studies you can study and see. Some of the agencies are connected globally. You can share some of your cases as well. Slim also has some published statistics and information about post-judging feedback on each cases. You can take those and study that as well for improve yourself. Start crafting a case. So I'm underlining this is a court case. You have to justify why it should deserve a fee. That's why I'm saying make it a case study. Most of you all, also I think all of you all would have gone through CIM or any other professional qualification in marketing. You have done case studies plenty of times. Look at the fundamental of a case study. Why do we take it as a case study? Because it has a beginning, a mid, and an end. There is a lot of strategy. There's a lot of connectivity. There's compelling evidence in terms of why it should be deserving. It should be judged as a proper case for the judges to look at it and make necessary remarks and award marks on the merit. What you must do, these are 4 areas that the entry kit will cover. The challenge, the strategic challenge, I must emphasize strategic challenge, context and objectives. I will go through in little bit detail areas. Insight and idea, the big idea, bringing the idea to life, and finally the results. So let's dive in. And I'll take this particular section from the notes of my jury members over the last couple of years, what you can do right and where you can go wrong. So the entry, the first part is about the context. I think very, very important. A lot of participants fail to give the right picture because see, judges, the jury comes from a very experienced background. They have handled campaigns, and particularly this time I have insisted that we have a very experienced set of judges who have handled campaigns, who has the idea of how a campaign works, so that they can give the right right opinion, right judgment to a particular case. So you need to paint a picture. They need to live that picture. Especially this time around, we are going in for online judging. Whether it's online or not, anyway, when we are even in physical, you have your entry form uploaded into your screen and then we start reading. We are given a particular set of time frame for each judge to read, understand, and then start marking. First round, we don't have a discussion, but there are scheduled discussion to understand the level of judging. Second round, each entry we have a discussion so that we debate what are the goods and the bads, and then we go into marking. But a lot of entries fail to paint that picture. What is the market environment? What was the competition like? What was the problem that you were trying to address? The challenge, and is that challenge strategic? I think some of y'all miss in terms of making that challenge strategic to the category or to the brand or to the organization. It can be just an ordinary challenge. I mean, it can be a day-to-day challenge, but this day-to-day challenge, yes, it's a challenge. But if it is not strategic, the chances of you getting a higher score on that area will limit into a mediocre score. I will show you the scoring scale also. So dig deep and question yourself, is there a problem? Was there a problem? Was there a challenge? Is that problem strategic? And this part will come in very handy in terms of the next set of if you define it properly, this comes in handy in terms of answering the next set of questions also. The second part is about the insight.
Just to interrupt you there, should it be a problem alone, or can it be an opportunity also?
See, I think you can frame the opportunity as a problem. Let's say, for example, market opportunity created and you were not ready, so therefore you came out with a new solution or a new campaign or something like that. So it can be, I mean, why I said Kavi is a problem, because we always look at from a communication point of view. When you give a brief to the agency, we speak about a strategic challenge, a problem that we give it to the agency, saying that, look, my consumers does not consume in this way, or they are not aware of my product. So that's a strategic problem. So you frame it in that way. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So it's about the second part is about the insight. How well you know your audience. Consumer insights is very important. I think nowadays sometimes we just rush into campaigns without looking at consumer insight. How well you understand the consumer insights. It's not day-to-day stuff, but I don't want to go into detail about what's a consumer insight, but these are observations that you see the consumer behavior, some research-led stuff. If it is to back, you have a stronger case. How deep is the thinking? What led you to that big idea, right? Is the idea big enough, and what led you to that big idea? If the big idea cannot be mentioned on one sentence, you don't have an idea. So I don't want to see a lot of paragraphs explaining the big idea. Sometimes the big idea is very simple. One sentence, it clicks the judges. Some of the entries which are scored really well have very simple big ideas, and it has a strategic connect to the problem. It has a strategic connect to the insights that you were talking about. So very important area to think about.
Go ahead. So there are media categories, there are digital categories in this as well.
Yeah.
So in that case, the insight can be a media insight or a different type of an insight. Then is there a difference in how you kind of bridge the insight versus the big idea? Is there a different approach? Your thoughts?
See, it's like this. I mean, be it media idea or be it social media, there has to be a link in terms of your why that insight is. How does it connect to the idea? Let's say, for example, you're going into a content partnership. Why do you go into the content partnership? Is because your customers are thinking in this way, or the behavioral patterns are this. Therefore, this was the insight we picked, and as a result, then on your execution, you say this is the media channel we picked up for this reason, so that when a judge look at your case, you will see strategically, look, they have picked this particular mediums, or they have picked this type of channels, or they have picked this time belt because your consumer is behaving in such way, because your consumers are in this mindset, and that is connected to your strategic problem. I hope I'm clear on that.
Yes. So what you're basically saying is it can be a data-driven insight, a behavioral insight, a media insight, anything, as long as there is a direct connect of it to the birth of the big idea.
Absolutely. Spot on. Bringing the idea into life, the creative execution. How does it get linked? I think that's why I highlighted. Sometimes we just go on putting the creative part of it, but we don't show the link. Always see all these 4 areas of the entry kit has to be linked. It cannot be isolated. I have seen a lot of good entries go waste because the link is not there. Try to establish why it is done. At least even if you don't say it in words, if the thinking is there, sometimes the flow is very nice, strategically thought, then we can link those thoughts together. But if there's a possibility to link it, you can refer it to that particular insight, and then say that this is how the execution happened. Even when we move into looking at the show reel, that we can draw that picture in our mind and then link that whole idea together. That's why the importance of building a case. The media strategy, sometimes, I mean, you have boxes to tick. Sometimes some agencies tick all the boxes. The more simpler ideas have very strategically picked media channels. The media strategy is based on the insights. Media strategy is based on the problem. The framing of the problem comes in. So that's how this media strategy have been developed. Does it suit the audience, or is it just a machine gun approach? Okay, I went on TV, radio, print, social media, the whole plethora, or is it very strategic? Is it relevant? Simplify and simplify. Try to be very, very simple. Judges will read entries, more interesting the entries. If it's like a story, we are very, very inspired by those stories. I have seen many cases which have won really well, inspiring stories which we have the interest of reading it, but make it simple. You don't have to, there are spaces and I think word count as well, but keeping it simple will make your life easy, the judge's life easy, and the case is very, very simple to understand as well. And then the last part, the $1 million results, the 30% of the marks. How relevant are these results? Now, something which we are missing here is we do the campaign, here's the result. Usually a business results we show. I will show it in another slide also. How relevant are the results to the campaign you spoke about? How relevant are the results to the original problem you said? How relevant are the results to the objective you said? That's very important to clear out. So, I mean, in that sense, you can even give an interpretation of results. This happened. It can sometimes you may not have achieved your co-objectives that you set at the beginning, but you can interpret saying that, look, there is a growth in terms of this part of it. So therefore, the campaign has affected. What we are looking here is not merely results. This is not brand excellence. We are not looking at your business growth. We are looking at the results your campaign has brought in. So I will elaborate this on another slide as well. Does this result has an impact on the context? Were the objectives re-engineered? I think this is an important area. We have seen entries. I personally have seen entries where you have the results and then you engineer the objectives based on that. Look, in my panel, we have research, we have professionals from research in the agencies. We have professionals from the marketing fraternity agencies. I mean, these guys are very senior. Once you look at the results, the case, as well as the objectives we can draw, in terms of our discussions, you can see, look, they have just set up the objectives looking at the results. So be realistic. I mean, you don't have to overplay it or underplay it just to make the case better, but be realistic. Sometimes even the cases which you have won in the past years, some cases which you have won has not achieved the objective 100%, but the impact of the campaign is seen. It's not about the budgets. It's not about how big the campaign is, but how effective the campaign is being judged. Obscured results, yes, is a question mark. Has the results been delivered? What you said you're going to start, has this been delivered? Now, for example, if you're talking about a consumer behavior at the beginning as a problem and you have set up objectives around it, but your results are showing about the business growth in something else, we cannot draw a line to that. So make sure that what you said at the problem, what you said at the objectives are being tested and finally being interpreted in that way. Prove your work, deliver the results. That's the connection we are looking at. Of course, moving into the video which we are judging in the second round, keep it for 3 minutes. Agency blind, you cannot make the agency. I mean, these are fundamentals. Agency cannot be mentioned. Don't repeat what you said in the entry to the video. It's not about the production quality of the video we judge, but it's the creativity part which is going to back your case. This is support evidence, the material, the creativity, because we are reading an entry. We are visualizing it. Some campaigns we have seen it, some campaigns we have not seen it, and especially on some of those categories we have not obviously seen the advertisement, but the executions has to be shown. So it's about the creativity of the real work which is done. It's not the creativity of the show reel that you show. Do not show results. Articulate the story and bring the entry to life. I mean, this is an opportunity to drive home the case. That's what we are looking at the video. Creative reel should be complement the case. That's what we are looking at. It's not about a repetition of the it's a 3-minute video. Some clients and agencies try to rework the entry into a video. You lose opportunity in the 3 minutes. So try to complement the case through the video.
So it's a show reel. It's a creative show reel, but not a case video, is what you're trying to say.
No, it can be a case video, Kavi. It can be a case video. So that I have seen some of the entries which only shows the creative parts of it, but it can be a case video. It has to complement the case that you submitted. I'm not saying that you cannot avoid the complete. I mean, you can create it. I mean, but what I must say is your creativity at the show reel will not be the production quality and the creativity part for the show reel is not being awarded. But we will deep dive because this is a round that all the judges will have a discussion around that whole case. So just because your show reel is really creative and you build up a nice story around it, it's not going to get marks. So what we're trying to get at it is the entry, what you have said, is leaving that entry there. I mean, if you can bring out that, that's well and good.
So it gives some context. There's no harm in giving context, but
Not a
make sure
problem.
you show the execution, your creative elements, give that prominence and complement your entry is what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mention all the tactics used, not only the TV, but all the material, all the tactics you used have we mentioned. Don't only put the TVC and expect us to look at the 30 seconds and judge you. No, give the entire background. I mean, look at the look at it as a case study and try to complement your submitted entry. Well, on judging, this is very clear. Challenge, context, and objectives carry 23.3%. Insight and idea, another 23.3%. Bringing idea to life, 23.3%. Results, another 30%. So we have a grid, which I thank Imal, our previous advisor also years ago when I was project chair as well. Imal developed this grid for us, and he's part of the APAC FE judging as well. We currently use that grid. We understand, what are the cases which needs outstanding marks, what are the cases which are poor. So if the challenge is fuzzy and hazy, you don't get marks. If it is unexceptional, you get average mark. The ones that you get great marks are the judge wants to know more. It's a clear link to contextual ideas that surprises, smart strategic thinking. Collie and Conti part of it have been brought in. These are the ones that get extra marks. The good entries also get a decent understanding of their strategy, but not very clear. I mean, this is a scale that we have developed into each area. We have done a grid of each judge so that it's not a very judgmental decision in terms of subject. It's not a subjective decision that each judge will mark, but we are going in a very structured manner. If the case is very clear, if it is strategic, if it is compelling, and it has level of smartness, we will definitely give as maximum possible marks in that area. So what would the jury look at? We will look at very specifically. I'm summarizing what I said previously: the challenge and context, the clarity of the case, the connectivity of all chapters. What you said, there has to be a connectivity from beginning to end, and the results. I'm emphasizing, as I mentioned, this is an effectiveness award, advertising effectiveness awards. So results can be from business, perceptual, or attitudinal. It doesn't necessarily have to be business. I mean, there have been cases, I remember maybe the second or third year in FEs, I have seen cases which have said a brand having a problem in a particular segment of the market, that they have a negative attitude about this segment. And this is a campaign which have brought positive attitude. So the brand track post the campaign has showed a positive attitude in result. It was not completely business about it, but there was a very clear case in terms of how a particular segment's usage and attitude has changed towards a brand. And these brands have won silver, gold, FE's previous years as well. So don't only look at from a business point of view. Look at perceptual, attitudinal, and try to draw the link. I mean, you have different situations where people are not buying your product due to certain reasons. It can be awareness, it can be perceptions, it can be attitude towards it, or it can be many factors into it. So you can judge the business results, what is supporting the business results, and you can even look at the results from a Collie angle as well. So I think these are areas that we will look at. So I suggest some of the strong entries have both aspects being addressed into it. It all depends on the context that you said. It all depends on the problem that you said you had at the beginning and the results linking into that. In general, make the case compelling, be specific and simple, connect all chapters, do not enter same entry into multiple categories. You can't write one entry and put it into multiple categories. Look at the category and make it contextual to that category. The entry should be a joint effort by the agency and client. I know there are questions, can the client only apply? Can the agency only apply? This is for me, although I sit on the marketer's side of it, the client side of it, for me, it has always been a partnership. All my FE success, I have, as a participant, I have won about 6 to 7 FEs, which are always been a very massive joint effort by me and the agency. I still to date, I remember how I have drafted the agency, how we have gone through a lot of arguments about how the entry should be drafted when we get the best out of it. I have also, I'm not putting the client down, but I have seen entries which are drafted by clients. When you read it, you understand it's very from a business oriented point of view you had written. And you have seen the client and agency jointly writing entries, and you have seen the agency only writing entries. So it should be a joint effort, in my opinion. I mean, I can be challenged and questions being asked, but that's how I have seen success. And in general, some of the entries are not connected. I mean, you're not connected to the context of it, or the entries, I think, something I mentioned about, there's no connection through your case study. That's something that you need to really worry about. Judging process, we have 2 rounds of judging. We use the Olympic system, cutting down the highest marks and the lowest marks and then average it. We have recusals where conflict of interest being taken off. I also monitor as the head of jury in terms of trends of judging, whether there are any skewness happening, whether there are any favorations happening, because we judge on an online platform. So real-time data have been thrown in. So sometimes certain judges are very, very strict. Certain judges are very, very lenient. So my job is to ensure that everybody judge on the right direction, have those discussions. I have 2 very strong panel heads for round 1 and round 2, very, very experienced. So I'm very confident about how the judging will go on this time. Metals decided at the 2nd round based on the marking. The finalists, bronze, silver, and gold. And also very important, not enough effort being made into entries. We have seen you have just written a campaign expecting a FE to come. It won't come that way. Cases are not thought through. FE is different to any other award. It's not a creative award. Just because your campaign won anything in globally creative awards, do not expect it to same entry to win a FE award. It's about communication effectiveness. Keep that in mind. How does your communication effectively delivered what you said you're going to deliver? So that's the bottom line for me. Some good cases have failed because they have not really put down the case properly. One thing I mentioned, Kavi, also a fundamental rule goes across the jury that we cannot bring in our experience or our how do I say, interpretations into it. We have to go by the case which is submitted. So some cases we know they have done decently well. When you look at from outside, you know the strategy, but you fail to put it into a case and bring it to us. So try to make your case robust. Juries, experts from Marcom, strategy, research, advertising, media. So bluffing, changing numbers. We have seen many years research numbers being cooked up. I have research expertise on both panels. Some of the, most of the research results have been published. So don't try to cook up numbers. Of course, not like in Brand Excellence or any other entry, we don't go through audit process. But the numbers that you put out can be judged, and we know the experts will stage in their opinion about those numbers as well. Difference between a winner and a also ran. The entry kit discipline has been there. Clear articulation of the story is there. Validate research to back up the story is there. There is an element of surprise being brought in. The think big factor has been seen very clearly. Linking to the strategic business impact has been very clear in the winning cases versus the others. Interpretation of the results to the context and the communication element is absolutely clear in all those winning entries I have seen over the past few years. And with that, I'll wrap up my presentation. I'm gladly waiting for the questions. Let's discuss and let's raise questions and take it from there. Let me share my screen. Yeah.
That was a sprint. All right. So let me remind you that I think there was an entry edition that has actually reached some of you, where there's a error on the 8th page, I think. The eligibility period has not changed. It remains from 1st of January 2019 to March 31st, 2021. That has not changed. So if you pick one industry, you can't pick more than one industry. It has to be one industry that you pick. So it can't be, let's say, insurance as well as a new product or service as well. It needs to be, if it's insurance, it needs to be insurance only, right? And one entry can only go up to maximum of 4 award categories, and that is kind of the block. So Gamika, before I head into the questions from the link, can you comment on the years that you can basically go up to, especially in the case of sustained success, as well as cases that has not won gold but are re-entering?
Yeah. So there's a very clear guidance in terms of the re-entering criteria. It's very clearly spelled out in terms of the entry kit. Let me just draw your attention to that. Hold on a second. Yeah. So the re-entering criteria, I'll go into the particular section and explain that. Sorry, I missed the bookmark on that one. Okay, re-entering works like this. If your work continued, I'll just read it out on this and then explain it a little bit. If your work continued running in this year eligibility window and you have results from eligibility window, you may re-enter past winning efforts with the following requirement. 2019 FE gold winners can re-enter a category in which they did not win. So the gold winners of 2019 FEs, that is for 2018 entries, right? Can apply to a category. Gold winners can apply to any other category, but otherwise they can't apply on the same category. FE 2017 and earlier gold FE winners can re-enter at any category. But again, if you look at now, these are years which is going before 18, 17. This can probably go into the most sustained success area because we look back until about 2016 January. If you're interested in entering a different effort by the brand into the same category, it may be eligible. I mean, like, it's the same brand, a different effort, a different campaign, campaign change, or a different campaign or a new campaign can be entered in the same category. Past silver and bronze FE winners can re-enter any category. You can be a silver winner in the past any category. There's no restriction about the category you can enter. Past gold sustained success winners can re-enter the sustained success category after 3 years. So if you have entered your the sustained success in 2018 FEs, just because you are eligible in 2016, we are looking at 3 years, you cannot enter into any gold winners on the success retained success. I don't think we have gold winners in that category. You cannot enter to that same category. You have to wait for 3 years and then only apply. 2019 Goliath, David versus Goliath winners, gold, silver or bronze, are not eligible to enter David and Goliath. If you have won, if you have shown that you are the Minot brand who are taken in a giant, you cannot enter into the same category if you have won gold, silver or bronze.
Is it a brand, Gamika, or as an effort? That's one of the biggest questions. Okay. Is it as a campaign or as a brand?
It's an effort. It's an effort. It's not the brand. It's an effort because we look at the particular campaign.
Okay.
This year, the David or Goliath winners for FE 2017 and earlier can re-enter to the category. So it's an effort that we are looking at.
Okay, so past winners can enter as long as they haven't won a gold in that category, provided that the campaign has run during the eligibility period.
Period, correct.
Okay, so we have a question from Andy on brand integration and entertainment partnerships category. Can the partnership be with an individual who is a brand on his own, not as an ambassador, but as an actual partnership?
Yeah, very good question. I think, there is a category which we have introduced as on the social media side, influencer category also. So, you'll be the best judge. Since I don't have much of insights about it, you can debate whether you want to put this as an influencer category or whether you want to put it on the brand and integration part of it. It all depends on how you build the case. If I may read to you about the influencer category, that is also very, very interesting. It's not just the no offense to any other
social media category, Gamika. So social media has influencer as well. I think
Correct.
All of it is one category. Yeah.
Correct. So, no offense to any influencer marketing being done in Sri Lanka, but, the context of what we look at on influencer marketing or, using an individual is about looking at how this person has persuaded your consumer to, like your product or buy your product. Has there been a behavioral change? So think there is a fine line between how you're looking at the brand integration and influencer. It all depends on the credibility and the facts that you have to back that case on either category. If you look at the definition on each category, you'll be the best judge in terms of picking the category.
So in short, if you can indeed justify that person as a brand,
Yeah.
your game.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I have a question in terms of the market disruptor category, which we've been getting many questions on.
Yeah.
What is the nature of the disruption that you're looking for? Is it a shift in terms of the positioning in the market? Is it the offering has changed, or has the media serving changed? What exactly are you looking for in this category?
Yeah, I think I gave 2 examples where I'm presenting also. I mean, yes, definitely a repositioning or a positioning change, if you may call it, can be looked at. I think going by the definition of the category, they are particularly looking at how you have changed the rules of the game. I mean, if you can show a brand changing, challenging the status quo and changing the whole game. I mean, like, for example, again, okay, apart from the 2 examples I gave you about the particular usage about the product, how you have changed, you know, when the entire category is talking about this, how you have been brave enough to challenge and say, no, this is how you use it, and then you make a behavioral shift towards your product. So that type of a disruption. I mean, again, the disruption can be, the scale of the disruption will depend on each industry. I mean, you have different industries, like, you know, if you look at telco, for example, I mean, disruptions can be very technical. You know, you can really pick up those disruptors. But FMCG, yes, there are good brands which have done certain disruptions and made the, you know, change the rules of the game. So look at that in the context of the industry. Don't look at any other competitive industries, but within your industry, have you challenged the rules? Have you challenged the status quo and, you know, re-looked at it? I mean, you know, all those I mean, the variables that Kavi mentioned can be looked at, but, you know, is it big enough within the scope of the industry? So that's what we're looking at.
So Gamika, very often we see entries that has done a pricing change. It can be a budget category, or it can be, you know, a promotion. Are those classified as a marketing disruptor? Because one can argue that a pricing change is a market disruption.
Yeah. So very interesting. See, again, the pricing change or a strategic pricing point can be looked at a disruptor. It cannot merely be a consumer promotion and a short term this thing. I mean, I have seen a particular entry. This is actually on brand excellence, where you are anticipating a foreign brand to enter into your category. Due to that, you change the whole scope or the composition of the product. It's not merely a price shift, but change the composition of the product. You brought in a new product as an attacker product to compete the price, anticipating a price war from the foreign entry, and dominating that category. I mean, that's a real price disruptor. Rather than you saying that, okay, I gave a 20% discount and then the offtake happened because the competitor was at a you know, price war. That is not strategic enough for me. True enough, it's from a business point of view, it's strategic. I mean, you know, it's a tactical warfare, but from a communication point of view, we are judging effective communication efforts. So has that disrupt a price change or the consumer promotion? Is it strategic? Has it actually flip the game around in terms of your competition? That is what we are really drilling in, looking at. I mean, a price change can be looked at, provided all those factors have been addressed.
Right. Moving on to a question from Vajini. For media innovation, how do we approach the entry? Sometimes media innovation tends to be a part of a bigger campaign. So how do we focus solely on this in the current entry form? Would appreciate a little advice on this.
Yeah. I think Kavi also knows that, you know, one of your entries won the media category as well in terms of content partnership. So if my advice to any participant there is look at the case again. I mean, if you see a bigger picture that, you know, media innovation or the content partnership as a part of a bigger campaign, you can look at the category critically. But if the idea is merely, you know, I mean, it can also be a part of a bigger campaign. But if the media idea or the media innovation has stand on its ground to show why, I mean, like, you know, what are the insights you brought in, why that particular channel was selected, why that type of a content, this can be part of that, whole media led idea, because the idea would have definitely maybe would have come on from your media agency itself. So if that is the context, I suggest you to apply. Again, my advice to you is to relook at your whole entry. I mean, don't think about the category, just start writing the entry and see where it will have better ground. I mean, if the media part of it heavy, I mean, if the media idea is very strategic and you can draw that case into a better ground, then I would rather pick the media side of it rather than putting it in the main category. But if the holistic campaign shows better results, I mean, you can show a lot of integration, a lot of strategy around each element of that media selection, then I would probably put this as a part of the bigger campaign and apply on a main category. There's nothing wrong in each category, but it's about how much of weight you can put on media led idea to apply in that category.
All right. So very quick question, can clients apply? If so, how can they apply?
Clients can definitely apply. There's nothing stopping from a client applying it. But my personal advice and my point of view is this is a advertising award. Clients and agencies together, I always consider my agency as my extended family. So we do an effort together. So why do I want to apply alone? I want my partner to be a part of the success. We have created success together, so we apply together. I mean, when you bring those thinking together, I mean, like, when I was a client and I was writing entries, I look at the case from a different point of view. My agency looks at the case from a different point of view. We debate, we argue, we like, brainstorm and figure out, how in which angle should we present the case. Then you get the best out of it. I mean, there can be sole effort done by the client, without an involvement in the agency. I know many bigger brands have their own production teams and, creative teams internally. So there's nothing stopping you from applying. But, if your effort is, created by an agency, I suggest that you apply together.
All right. So question pertaining to clients from Dilanjan Pereira. If the client is an exporter and cater exclusively to foreign markets and results are judged on impact in those markets, how can you enter it into FEs this year? If the client is an exporter and cater exclusively to foreign markets and the results are judged on impact in those markets. So it's not a Sri Lanka effort. How can you enter it into FECC?
In the eligibility, I haven't seen. I think, what they mentioned is the efforts have been local efforts, not international. So if I look at the definitions per se, campaigns run overseas aren't qualified in FE entries here. So I do not encourage a brand to enter into local FEs in that context, because see, in terms of judging criteria and the scope given, it may not have the best impact in terms of getting the right judgment to you. So it's a completely local grown brands, local efforts, etc., to be judged in that manner. I that's my opinion about it. Let me see whether there is any other definitions in the entry kit as well whilst we go on.
Mentioned eligibility basics, eligibility rule. I think 1 in page 5 is what he has specifically asked about. Whilst you look at that, the page limit of the FE's case document used to be 7 as per the old format. Is it strictly 7? Is there a margin allowed in terms of the page count, in terms of the word count? So I think the answer is that nothing has changed. The 7-page limit, the word count is strictly there. There's no reason why it should be longer, is what the thinking is. Gamika, please correct me if I'm wrong. The
you're correct.
Count has not changed from 7. The word count, there's no margin allowed, right? The simpler, the better, because we're looking at a bumper year, guys. 2 years will mean more than 100 entries. So the judges will be looking at a lot of entries. So if you keep it short and sweet, that will get better cut through, I think.
So, Kavi, in terms of the eligibility, it's very clearly said that only campaigns efforts that have run in Sri Lanka may enter into the competition. If your work ran in multiple markets, You must enter the work that ran in Sri Lanka and be able to demonstrate the success within Sri Lanka market specifically to enter. So so what I said was correct. So I don't advise anybody to apply your overseas efforts here.
So one of the biggest questions that we have been receiving, Gamika, is on the positive change aspect. A lot of people tend to have issues in terms of how to curate this case around it, right? So you have brands who are usually doing for-profit businesses, and you also have brands who are not for-profit, right? But even brands who are for-profit, they tend to release social good messaging, right? And to kind of get into sustainability led messaging as well. So in that case, how do they look at that entry? What kind of results are you looking for? If it's a for-profit brand, are you looking for the entry result to be linked directly to a business result? This is a big question that we have been getting.
Yeah, so I think, as I said at the presentation also, I mean, we don't only look at the business results. I mean, especially on a social good category, I remember some of those sustainability efforts that we judged a couple of years ago. There were a lot of questions from the judges about the definition of it and how do we look at it. I mean, in my personal opinion, going beyond the definition given on the entry kit, my personal opinion is that social good should have an impact in terms of behavioral and impact change to the environment or the cause that you have said that you're embarking on. Why we have categorized it in profitability and non-profitability, non-for-profit and profit driven organization, just to give a distinct advantage, because non-profit organizations run in a different manner. How their efforts are very different in terms of their thinking to whole protocols are different. So therefore, we have given a separate identification for that category. Apart from that, I think the larger factor should be the social good should be strategic enough, and there has to be an impact on it. Business results only will not deliver the judgment in your favor. Business results may impact. I mean, whilst you're doing that social good and the cause that you have shown results, and if you can also back it up with saying that your business is also sustainable, you're not a charity organization because you have also made profit based on that. For these are for profit driven organization, that will also definitely add an advantage in terms of our judgment.
Okay, so one of the questions that I received is there are brands that mostly in the FMCG category and similar to that, you see results on these kind of things, even behavioral changes overnight, within a week, within a month, right? But there are industries that take years for that yield to come. Then in that case, a behavioral change may not be tracked, but the campaign is good. Then what happens?
See, again, I think, going back, the rules of this game is about effectiveness of communication. I mean, if your case cannot show me effectiveness of communication, then the case is not,
it only becomes a creative effort.
It's just a creative effort. So that's why I said, like, IFFI Awards is not creative awards. I mean, your campaign should be super good. But just, if it doesn't have results, I mean, we are looking at work that said it's going to work. The work that has delivered results, work that said, okay, there is a strategic issue, we are going to address it and deliver this, and this is what has happened out of the campaign. That is what we are judging. If any of those elements cannot be shown, I don't think you should enter into FEs. I mean, there are many awards. I mean, there are a lot of foreign awards, a lot of local awards are looking at creativity. Even on creative spheres, there are many multiple factors that different award ceremonies look at. I suggest that you look at that. FE should be completely focused on creative efforts with effectiveness coming tagged along with it.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to a question on social media campaigns. Are all social media campaigns from different categories and sectors to be judged as one? This is with regards to social media category. So in the social media category, are all social media campaigns from different categories and sectors to be judged as one? I think irrespective of what the industry is, are all being judged as one in the social media category is the question.
Yeah. So, social media comes as a special category. So irrespective of the industry, all efforts will be judged in the context of social media. So it's in the digital sphere. So it's a new category we have entered. I think, you know, there's a lot of parallel. I mean, there are a lot of similarities with the Digis, what we have done, Slim has done, but there are differences also because Digi is also about certain parameters. But here we are looking at, again, going back to the fundamentals of it, the effectiveness of this communication. Again, being very specific on the question, all industries will be judged on the same bucket. It's not industry specific judgment given on social media, not like in Digis.
But we will be taking into consideration the COVID imposed difficulties in maybe engagement that normalization you are bringing in.
Yeah, so I think in terms of results normalization, we will apply that rule. I'm in discussion with some of the senior people in the jury as well, because see 2019-20, if you look at a club together, the market context also would have helped certain brands. So we are normalizing those results and taking into consideration the normalizing factor, so that a particular industry will not have a disadvantage or an advantage in a category we are competing with other industries. Number two, we will specifically drill into, as much as possible, dive in and drill into, see the connection between the campaign effectiveness and the results. As I said, I have expertise on the panel from multiple industries: media, research, marketing, advertising, etc. So we know what are the fundamentals which are driving a particular category, and we won't allow any other variables to affect the results, rather than isolating that with the communication efforts which has been done.
All right. So there is a question from Tharindi. As a media institution, are content partnerships needed with just one brand or multiple brands which have partnered with us for a given segment? So I think the question is, in order for it to be a content partnership case, should there be multiple brands or should it be one brand with something?
Tough one. I haven't seen any entry with multiple brands. It has always been a one brand, one organization effort. So you'll not be able to judge a combination of brands. So since I don't know much details about your case, I will not be able to answer you directly. But maybe if you can write to me or Kavi, I will give my email address also. You can be very specific in terms of how you want to just explain your case, then I will probably be able to address you in a very specific manner.
Another popular question is, if the campaign has started on maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the eligibility period ends, right? So for an example, if it's somewhere in March that the campaign has started and the results are yet to be, does it fall under this? Or does it fall under the next? So when I specifically ask for details, the campaign has run up to end of April. So
yeah. Quite clear. I think this was a question from you about a couple of years back from me. So yeah, my advice is not to enter. Don't put it because you don't have enough results to back your case. Wait for it and enter it in the next round. That's the simple answer.
Okay, so in relation to social good, non-profit, any tips on how to showcase the results when they are mostly behavioral or awareness driven or adhering to the new normal?
So behavioral and perceptual, attitudinal ones, you need to really have some sort of research result backing up. It cannot be gut feeling. It has to be some level of justification. I think some of those companies may not have invested on formal research, but if you do have certain ones, now some organizations I have seen voice of customer, customer satisfaction surveys internally done, some of those results are quite legitimate results, and we can judge by that. Again, don't cook up results, but at least if you have certain mechanisms to judge this has been happened, and there are empirical evidence that you can show that the behavioral change has happened, yes, you may enter. But if you don't have that, again, a bigger part, the 30% marks part, is missing in your case.
So Gamika, I want to specifically ask you about the special awards because there are a lot of confusion, especially amongst new contenders, right? David versus Goliath. What exactly are we looking for in that category?
So the simple definition of the David versus Goliath category is about a smaller brand, small organization taking on a giant. I mean, sorry if I'm like taking names, but there have been cases where Unilever brands, the multinational brands, have been challenged by local brands. I mean, there have been nice cases being built up. What you need to show is that, that you are a smaller brand in terms of size, budgets, capability, all that factors. You need to show that, you are compared to the larger brand, you're a smaller brand. If you can establish that fact, then we start with, that's our starting point to establish that you're the smaller player in this game, and then based on that fact only we are going to judge. There has also been cases where larger organizations, the brand the brand is relatively new, and the brand category they are occupying is a smaller area or a market share. That too we have given due recognition, because let's say for example you're a not a multinational, you are a organization with multiple brands, and there's a new brand which is more smaller in size, smaller in market share, smaller in budgets. You're taking on a giant brand. It can be your own organization or it can be a competitor organization. If you can establish that fact, we do again give due recognition for that brands as well. So the fact we are looking at is you're a smaller brand which are taking on a giant, and you need to establish that the giant is actually a giant. It's not like to likes.
All right. So one point on Renaissance category, most of you have asked how long the campaign has to kind of yield results, and how long should the brand be suffering in a downward curve. I think the global standard is that at least for 6 months there has to be a decline, and after the campaign there has to be at least 1 year of the positive lift up that you need to show to be competing in the Renaissance category. Gamika, one of the biggest questions is about, again, sustained success. When you have the same campaign, should it be the same campaign that is being repeated, or should it be different formats of the campaign? How are you looking at it, the 3 years that you're looking at in a sustained success case?
See, I think the whole the basic of the campaign should be the same. It cannot be a complete different effort, but extension of the campaign, certain variants being done can be considered. But the judges should see that this is part of a holistic campaign. It's one fundamental campaign running in with slight variants based on the context, or just to keep the campaign afresh, that you have brought in a fresh part of it, an extension to that campaign. But it has to connect to one main campaign. That's what we are looking at.
Okay, so I have another very famous question. When you take the youth marketing segment, what is exactly considered to be the age bracket for youth? I mean, all of us are young, young at heart, right? So how do we define the youth marketing category?
So the definition goes as teens and young adults. I mean, if you go by the research and some of those published statistics, I would consider anything between teenagers to 25 years, or even up to 30 is fine if you can define it, saying that in your particular.
So the maximum level at 30.
30.
Nothing above
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Similarly, is there a maximum minimum limit in terms of an influencer circle? Because there's also an influencer category. So in order to specify or define someone like as an influencer, is there a specific kind of parameter we're looking at in terms of following or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, all what we look at it is, is this the right influencer? It's not, because I think, again, I'm being very, very critical. It's not about the number of followings. It's about how appropriate this influencer. Is it strategic enough? And has this influencer done an impact in terms of your outcome of the results? Is there an impact? That has to be clearly articulated. If not, it's going to be a waste. So the number of followers is not a factor that we will look at.
Okay. I think one final question. I think our gallery is somewhat silent. So there's one final question that I want to ask, which I kind of forgot now. Wait, what was I going to ask? I completely forgot that. Okay, any questions, anybody? I think we are almost at the end of all of it. We've broken down as much as possible. Okay, I remembered my question. Now, when it comes to this new normal standards, a lot of brands had to willingly or unwillingly kind of switch into a e-commerce platform. And this this actually did give rise to different types of campaigns and things like that. So because we also have a social media category, now just the step over to something that is obvious, even though it is wrapped in a nice creative, would you look at it again, taking the merits of the creative as well as the effectiveness in terms of business result, or because everybody is doing it, is there a demerit in entering it there?
I mean, you can look at that question in multiple angles. Number one is we will look at it from the merit of that campaign, not just because I think certain ones you were compelled to move into the online category, right? Certain ones you have strategically moved into that. I mean, maybe expected things to change, and you have taken that step in terms of that right direction. But again, we will key into the fact that what was that whole thought behind it, was the context suiting that big idea that you said, and was it executed in that right manner to address the problem you had, and then whether that has delivered results. I mean, obvious results of consumer automatic behavior, like the lockdowns have driven you to move into online purchases. That factor we will normalize it, because that's a category definition or a category hygiene factor. But what have you done beyond that? How have you thought about the consumer insights and gone beyond that step in terms of understanding your customer, delivering that message, and then as a result? So as I said, we have the expertise in the panel. Obviously there is a skewness towards people moving into online. I mean, if you show that your online purchases have grown by 120% or 200%, we won't take that only by the merits of that. We will look at the complete impact of your campaign to that result. Or do you have any other factors to back that result, saying that, look, my campaign was effective because of these reasons?
Understood. Okay. So everybody, because I have a question on the deadline, so let me remind you of the deadlines once again. Early bird is September 8th. The entry fee is 25,000 rupees. The second one is on the 22nd of September. The entry fee is 27,500. And the last deadline, hard deadline, mind you, is on the 6th of October. The fee is 30,000 rupees. And for those who are entering for the first time, there's a 50% discount. For that, you need to either write to me or Dimitra. We will have that information at the bottom of the video today. So you can, of course, write to me or Dimitra and request. We will check with the background data and kind of come back to you and confirm on that discount. And also, if you have any issues in getting to our website, we are actually currently facing some difficulties. So you can always come to the FE Sri Lanka 2021, the Facebook page, as well as the LinkedIn page. There is a link with all the documents that you need, not just the entry form, the entry kit, everything that you need. You can simply click and download. But if you run into any problems, my number is there. I think Dimitri's number is there. You can always reach out to any of us and we'll be more than happy to help. So I think, okay, the registration in the entry portal is available on the website. The website doesn't seem to be functioning at the moment. Yes, the website is down right now, but by Wednesday, we will have it up and running, and we sincerely apologize, but the lockdown restrictions are also getting to us where we can't reach people, and a person in charge is also not very well due to the pandemic. So please excuse us until Wednesday, but whatever you need, you can simply reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help. So if there's no other questions, I think that's a wrap up. But we will also be sharing a video. This video, the recording of this video will be shared. We also have a what Gamika said in a video format, all put down into what juries are looking for in an effective entry, which you can also refer. And as we go on, we will also be uploading certain tricks of the trade where you can kind of get inspired by to really write an effective entry. We do urge you to start writing your entries now, because at the end, so many things can go wrong. And whilst it is humane to give more days, more time when you call and ask, it's also unfair by those who have put in that effort at first. So all the best to all of you. Once again, all of us are here. Do reach out for any clarifications. Whatever is a miss in this conversation, you can reach out to us, leave another question even below. We'll get back to you. So thank you so much for joining on a Monday evening. Hope we were able to break it down for you. Thank you so much, Gamika. Lots and lots of questions, and hope all of you got something out of it. So this time, FES is going to be once in a lifetime kind of experience for us, simply because of the pandemic, which is forcing all of us into going to different means to get this done, as well as because it's a bumper year. So I'm sure we will all persevere through and kind of have an awesome celebration of creativity in Sri Lanka. Thank you to all the organizers as well as all the participants. Gamika, special thanks to you again. So stay safe, everybody. Good night and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.